The promise of an IPO, the instant millionaire stories you hear from the news, the early retirement stories, the wonderful perks and unlimited time offs, and the list goes on. All these from joining a startup. I'm sure you've seen and heard it all before, but are these the stories we are made to believe? Stick around and I'll tell you more. I've been fortunate to be part of an early startup in 2016 and I was the first hire in Singapore for the Asia region. And today I'll be sharing with you 5 things I wish I knew before I joined a startup, and also stay till the end to find out if I'll ever do it again. I joined this company with an innovative solution that was revolutionary. So being in the industry for many years, talking daily to customers, I knew that this solution would have fixed all the problems we have had the past 20 years. The solution was simple, and it wasn't complex, and I only needed 15 minutes to demonstrate it to anyone and they would get it immediately. And yet, after every customer meeting, my customer will tell me the same thing. Oh, that product is innovative and it seems to fix all my issues, but it seems to be too good to be true. I might just pass on that for now. Maybe we'll revisit it at a later stage. My corporate headquarters in the US keeps telling me that everybody stateside is buying it like hotcakes. Everybody gets it. You must not be selling it right. But the bottom line is this. What works in the US may not necessarily be the same in Europe or Asia. Cultural differences and business practices play an important part in the buy and sell market. For instance, Asians are a risk-averse bunch and late adopters for most. Many agents are quite happy for Americans or Europeans to try any new tech first and weed out issues before they embark on it for themselves. Regardless of how great a solution is, there are unforeseen forces that could stop you from selling your product. So, great product doesn't mean it will automatically sell. Don't be sold to join on the promise of IPO or RSU. Some startups run a tight ship and sell you on the massive upside if they ever go IPO. So you take a gamble with your current salary in exchange for futures. Most are sold to the allure of this, and I certainly bought into it. These promises are the only leverage they have to lure and bait great people to join them. But be very mindful of what you are exchanging in return. It's no different with gambling. The best way one should approach this is to look out for yourself first rather than buy in on the IPO and RSU story. Make the IPO and RSU a sweetener and an upside to your compensation package rather than the main cost of your package. Try to get it as close to the current market salary rate instead. They may say that they're offering you a ticket on a rocket ship, but remember, you are also taking a chance on a rocket ship that may blow up mid-air. And oh, by the way, that promise to IPO in 2019, it's 2024, and the company I joined previously in 2016, still no IPO. By the way, if you're enjoying this content, it will mean a lot for me if you hit the like and subscribe button. Thanks again. When I interviewed for the role, I was told by the sales leader we had $3 million in pipeline, and we only needed to close $300,000 to make 100%. Just 10% is all I needed, and anything beyond that, I will get a crazy amount of commissions. So based on historical data of most companies I've worked for, the pipeline to win rate is about 35% and above. So I thought, well, that's not too bad, that should be easy. But after joining them, I looked up into the so-called pipeline and combed through every opportunity on the leads. And guess what? How much pipeline had I to work with? A big fat 0. All the so-called pipeline were unqualified leads, no validated leads provided by partners, resellers, and random business associates. Never ever be sold on projected pipelines and promise of business waiting to be closed. Try your best to validate the so-called promised pipelines. If anything, best to set expectations that you may not even have a pipeline to begin with and you have to build it from ground up. Having said that, I was still very determined and driven and was holding on to the belief that the product was crazy good. If only people gave it a chance, I was determined I could make it happen. Which makes a nice segue into my next story. Remember I mentioned there were partners, resellers, and business associates? I had conversations with every single one of them, and I realized that not only were they shady, they also didn't know what they were doing. Despite how great the product was, they marketed the product so badly and they didn't even know how best to position it. So much so that the brand name of the company was bad before we even begun. So I took a drastic step and terminated all those relationships with the folks and decided to start again and hopefully repair that. Up to that point, I was still doing everything alone. So in order to maximize my chances of success, I decided to recruit a partner in crime that I trusted and who has actually had experience building startups from the ground up. I also recruited the right set of resellers and partners too. That was the best decision I've ever made, and I urge that you find somebody that is ready to run at your pace and you completely trust to be part of your team. So the people that you bring along for the journey matters and determines if you fail or succeed. And finally, my last tip, be ready to work really hard. I think most people know that they are expected to work hard getting a startup off the ground, but they underestimate how hard it can be. At least that's true for me. It felt like I was running 7 days a week and 20 hours a day perpetually. When I wasn't working, I was thinking about it. I was also taking on multiple hats from sales to engineering to support to marketing and more. From printing flyers to carrying banners for exhibition to being on the plane every week for a whole year. While it was exciting and fun, it was only good until it wasn't. It is back-breaking work truly. Looking back, it was a little sad because I wasn't even making the big bucks, despite all the effort put in, because all that was promised weren't true. And assuming things didn't get better soon, I was on the verge of not being able to support my family too. I also missed out a lot of time with my family and my young kids because I was physically and mentally unavailable. With all that said, did I get what I signed for in the end? Quick answer is no. But I did learn a great life and career lesson. The experience was truly humbling, and I have a much greater appreciation for the work that every function puts in at a larger organization. I also have newfound respect for those who have made it through early stage startups. So the final question, will I ever do it again? I highly doubt it, but I hope my experience have given you some pointers to better evaluate your startup journey before it even begins. If you want to know more about my journey, feel free to leave me a comment, and as always, thanks for tuning in, and I will see you guys on the next video.